We talked about the love of God with the last group. We like dovetailed into. I'm not going to explain that term for y'all. Google it. We dovetailed into what the love of God is. Kind of just out of the nature of those things. Nate, what else? What do you think the dudes we should talk about with the dudes specifically?
I think the love of God is a good topic
From a male perspective. Yeah, that's fair.
Because I think they're going to give different answers.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about when it comes to the love of God? Like, how do you explain that to someone that needs to know it? You're looking at someone that you have their ear, a friend of yours, that I'm not talking about inviting them to church, but like that is a way, but you're explaining, well, what's the love of God? What's the best way you know how to explain it?
Okay. Someone that's always there for you. It's most people explain it. It's the hole in your heart that can't be filled by anything else except the Lord. And it's kind of just a hand reach out that you can always kind of come back to, but it's always there for you. It's always reaching out to try to grab you.
Took the words right out of my mouth, but just kidding. How I explain it is like, it's like that parent figure that like would never leave you. Like you have them wherever you go. Like no matter what's going on, like you could always, I need help, or hey, like I need to talk to you. So that's how I think of it.
That's theologically deeper than I think you realize, but yes, that is good.
For me, he's like a guy you can kind of like lean on, depend on, like wherever you're stuck at, wherever you need, like just someone to talk to, someone to vent, I guess.
So it's like that's the channel, like that makes sense. What do you want out of 2025 when it comes to like you as a young man and your walk with God? Like what are you like, man, I just want to see this click or happen, or as it relates to God? I know we got dreams and passions and things, and we can totally spend time on that. But when it comes to like God, you're like, man, I want this to make sense, or I want this to click. What do you think when it comes to that?
I'll go. Taunts. Like when you said it, it was like I never really got it. Like I hear my grandma speak it, like just me being nosy, of course. But I'm like, what is she saying? Like, how does she understand it?
Right.
I know my great grandma didn't speak it. Well, she probably did, but I know she didn't teach it to her.
Right.
So like, getting something out of 2025, I just want to be like, all right, I kind of understand it, just like a sense of understanding.
Yeah.
Not as much. I want to just speak it all the time, but I just want to understand it a little bit more.
Okay.
I want to get consistent about learning about him, just reading my Bible more, because I want, like, some people ask me about him, and I feel like I don't have the answer. I kind of need the answer because people at like school will be like, that's a kid from the Ark. So like, it's kind of like seen as like, oh, this the church kid. He's supposed to know everything. And I just want to know more to where I can explain better to other people.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it's like the same thing, just like getting to know him and also just trusting him. Like just whatever you're dealing with, like just depend on him and trust him. And sometimes you think it's just by yourself and it's just you, but like just trusting him and letting him do what he does.
So give me an example within the last year. This is going to be kind of tough in your life that you should have gone to God about it, but you didn't. And give me an example of why you think you should have gone to God about that issue. So, because now you're on the other side of it. You can be honest, and I have to be honest. We're going to talk about this in with everybody. Not everything's going to be used in this podcast necessarily. Yeah. We have to cut some stuff. We will, but we'll see if this conversation spurs on something too. So if you're on the other side of that decision now, you did not go to God about it. You know you should have. Explain to me why you should have in that situation.
All right, I got it.
Okay.
Zack knows about this. We went to a Sam Houston party, and I made some decisions I probably shouldn't have made.
Right.
And it was like, wow, like, what would he think? I was in the car. We were driving back home, and I was just thinking to myself, like, what would he think if he just came down and saw me right now? And I was like, all right, I got to fix this up. And that's really how I felt about it.
Right. I probably should have paused.
Yeah, I probably should have thought about my actions a little bit more before, like thinking about what would Jesus do.
Fair. Zach, what about you?
I don't even know. I'm still thinking.
Who are you calling?
I had a situation pretty recent. We kind of just talked about it outside, which made me remind me of it. Where me and a friend kind of were going back and forth, and sometimes instead of asking God about it, seeing like what I should have done, it was like impulsive decision, say what I want on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
It was on my heart, but it just came out a lot stronger than I wanted it to.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm gonna go kind of in Keelan's path too. It was just out partying, not doing the right thing, and then just wondering, like, after I was just like, dang, like, why'd I do that? You know, I didn't come to a realization at that point. I was like, what would he think? And yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's a tough lesson to learn. I had to learn one tough, which is I put someone in a place of leadership, and I move our volunteers. I'm responsible for our entire staff on our youth.
Mm.
I put someone in a place of leadership that wasn't ready for it. And because I felt like that in my heart, but I didn't really check with the Lord on it enough. And what happened was, it's not that it's not that like anything bad happened to them, but they weren't ready. And they weren't ready. And I should have paused. And they ended up kind of getting hurt in the process. Not because anybody intentionally was trying to do anything, but they weren't ready to be in that place. So when they got put in that place, the sheer task of doing what was needed was too much. What was required was outside of their bounds. And it hurt them, and it hurt people around them. And I should have checked with the Lord. That was my decision. It hurt a whole collateral of people. And that for me was like, man, if I would have just gone to the Lord and prayed just a little bit longer, and just like prayed a little bit longer. When I think of AY Weekend, it's interesting. It's an event, but honestly, the whole purpose of the whole thing is we're giving people time that just interrupts their school year and goes, just take the time to seek God. Now, we will make the space. We will make the time. We will do the worship. We'll do we'll put all the effort in to say, if you want to seek God, do it. And even if you don't, just pause on some of the things you're doing in your life, on some of the actions, on some of the breakups, on some of the startups, on some of the whatever, friendships, and some of the decisions, like just for a moment, pause and see what the Lord has to say on these things. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's honestly, that's the whole purpose. That's the whole point. It's the whole point. We do games because they're fun. Mm-hmm. Like we do games because they're fun. It's really not that complicated.
Bring people in.
Yeah, I mean, it brings people in. It doesn't keep them.
Right.
Like it's fun. Games are fun. We like to do it. We also don't want to take ourselves too seriously. But I have to seek God. Mm-hmm. And you guys are in this age now, and there are people that are watching this where you're like, yeah, I need something tangible. Like I need something real. Mm-hmm. And I need it now. And this is the event of, all right, now is now. And here's your time. And if we take that time, the Lord can save us from steps we don't need to do. And it's as simple as like, I didn't go there.
Yeah.
And you'll go, well, what would have happened? Here's the thing. You don't know what you missed because you missed it. Like, oh man, what was that party like? Don't know. Missed it. Well, what was that relationship with that girl with? Don't know. Missed it. What was that time with that friend? I don't know. I wasn't there. What was that? We're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't know. Or you're like, I need to make this decision. I need to move on from this. I need to forgive. I need to say this thing to kind of put this to a close, or to start a healthier conversation. We have to have moments with the Lord constantly, because we're always before the next decision.
Yeah.
Like life moves on. It's forward. We're going this way, and we're running. We have to pause. Because if we don't, then you end up in a spot where you say something or you do something and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, what am I? I'm just literally going through motions right now. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And the Lord gives us guidance, even though it's surprising, because we'll just talk ourselves into anything.
Austin kind of talked about this Sunday about like God's done a lot for you. Why don't you stop and be thankful for it once in a while?
Yeah.
Stop just overlooking it. Stop asking for stuff all the time.
That's good.
Think about what he's done for you.
What do you guys know what the word revival means? Do you know what that means?
Like,
This
get
is a
revived.
bring back to life.
Bring back
Yeah.
up.
What does that look like? I'm talking about revival in the church. What does that look like?
Maybe like someone loses faith and like their faith is revived and they're coming back to God.
Yeah. You're once there, you're gone from it, you forget about it, and then something sparks or something like catches your interest and you're back into it. You're starting to rebuild what you once had.
What do you think? Same thing?
Yeah.
If there's revival in our youth, what does that picture look like in words, in your mind?
I think events we host are some revivals because they
Yeah.
bring a lot of people back.
I think mission trip's a big revival.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So, like, we push for kids to come to mission trip. Like, some of those kids like haven't been here in forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're just going to go.
Yeah.
But then after mission trip, they come back and they buy into it.
Yeah.
And a lot of those kids become high school leaders.
I have another thing on that. Revival from mission trip. Even like I was going to church all the time, and then mission trip sparked my interest in reading my Bible more. So it kind
Yeah,
of
100%.
revived my like spiritual knowledge.
So it's and if I'm picking up on the theme here, there's a whole death to life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like something not working, sparks, changes.
Yeah.
So here's something just for the background, and I wanted to give context. Historically, in the church, when you talk about revival, you're also talking about mass. When it's revival in the church, it's not just some people. Like, it's a ridiculous amount of people.
Yeah.
Where the word is repentance, it's a turning unto. And that's actually what you guys are describing. You're describing repentance. You're describing someone is turning their life towards the Lord, either again or for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So when revival happens in the church, it's in mass. Like just all of a sudden has to be God. It's a no joke. A ton of people are going. This is at some point in some communities, the revival's been so strong. Like, people got so healed. Spokane, Washington, in like the early 1900s was named the healthiest city in the country because they had so many healings in there. There was so lack of sick people. It was a historical fact. There was a revival that happened in the Welsh land that it was so successful that people were turning to the Lord. There was a day in court where no one showed up. There was no criminal activity. There was an awakening that talked about in church in America, when America was in the colonies. That was so powerful, bars were shutting down and whole towns were turning just upside down. And when we talk revival in the church, what you're talking about is true. You're talking about the individual, and it also means in mass. But it starts with the person.
Yeah.
What I think is fascinating historically, it starts with young people. Every single time. And so one of the things we've been praying for many years is that we would see revival in our youth. What's interesting about this season is I don't feel like we're far from it. That's all I know.
AY weekend, I think is great time-wise because everybody, it's so like joyful in the summer, it feels like, and then you get into the cold times and people like start getting so much like depression and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And AY weekend's like a midpoint to remind you like what's in life, what's good.
Mm-hmm. Zach, what would you say about when it comes to depression and God? What would you say is beneficial or something there?
Like when you're depressed? And
yeah. What would you say about God and depression?
I mean, because when you're depressed, you just feel like no one got you. You're just by yourself. You're in a hole. And God, like, he's always gonna love you no matter what. He's gonna love everyone no matter what. And I just feel like he's always gonna reach that hand out for you and get you out that hole and save your life and get you out of depression.
That's good. Nate, anything you think we should add before we go into our mix?
Whenever you were asking about like a time you didn't go to God about something,
yeah,
what stops you from going to God?
Ooh, yeah.
Ignorance.
Like, what keeps you? Like, what stops you from like taking something to God, going to God about something?
Yeah.
Mike, can you rephrase that question? Just so
Yes. So to follow up on what it is about, when you should have gone to God but you didn't, what do you think stops you from going to God before you make, let's say, ignorant decisions?
Yeah, just being blinded, doing what you want instead of what you should be doing, which is following how Jesus walked the earth, kind of making irrational decisions.
My case, I guess I could say like trying to impress others, trying to fit into the crowd.
Yeah, you want to be loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably getting influenced, maybe not right, or maybe not around the right people. And then in that sort of sense, just following the crowd, maybe trying to fit in.
Okay, so for you, Zach, why do you think, even though people don't have anything to do with your relationship with God, they influence your relationship with God? Like, like your relationship with God's your own. That's not between you and me.
Yeah.
Like that is completely your own. But it's interesting that other people can stop you from having a relationship that's not their, I'm not trying to be mean. It's not their business kind of thing. And it's not actually like you're not sharing God in a relationship with someone else. Like it's you and the Lord. But it's interesting that you say other people get in the way.
Yeah.
Why do you think other people get in the way?
I don't even know. Maybe they haven't looked for God in their life and they're not doing the right thing.
Why do you think you let other people get in the way?
I don't know. Maybe that's sort of like temptation, kind of. And just like trying to like please them, I guess. Like say if you like someone but they're not going in the right path, like, oh, I like them, but they're going in the right path, but you're following that. So that's sort of what I think about it.
That's good. That's good. Anyone else?
It's easy to follow something that seems like it's going to make other people happy. It's going to please others, kind of get put in that group. And it's feels harder to stay true to God because it's like kind of feel like you have strict rules you got to follow and stuff like that. And the bad stuff that you want to do seems easy and like fun when you shouldn't be influenced by it. But it kind of overtakes your life and blinds you from what you should be doing.
Well, I can't really speak for the guys, but I think my thing is, like, I don't like making people angry or feel sad. So, like, it's kind of like, yeah, I'll help you with it. Oh, yeah, I'll do it with you so that you don't feel alone. Because I felt alone, and it's like, I don't want nobody else to have that feeling.
That's good.